They sent the obese girl to clean their garage as a joke, but hell's angels refused to let go. They shoved a crumpled flyer into Tessa's palm and laughed. Clean their biker garage. Piggy, Dawn, Redline Customs at 12:30. I'm reading that strange hour where the calendar calls it morning. But the sky still belongs to night. Tessa stood beneath the skull logo on Redline's steel door. Engines breathed inside like sleeping animals. Wind teased the open chain until it chattered like teeth. Her breath fogged in the cold, dissolving into the hum under the metal. Her fist trembled when she lifted it. She didn't knock. The door swung open on its own. Silence stared back. Before we start the story, tell us where in the world you're watching from. And if you enjoy our biker stories, please subscribe to Bikers Hype, hit the hype button, and share this with a friend who loves the road. Juniper Vale called this strip past the rail yard a lot of things. Wrecker's Mile when a wrecking crew leased the yard. The rattle for the way lost things buzzed and shook until they rattled themselves apart. To Tessa, it was just where the buses stopped late and the shadows looked like a place to hide. She stepped over the threshold. The garage opened like a cathedral of chrome, lifts like altars, braided hoses hanging like incense, the low, holy hum of machines cooling down to prayer. A man in a black cut glanced up from a primary case, scar over one brow, iron gray at the temples. Knox stitched on his chest in straight letters that didn't apologize for anything. "You lost, kid?" he asked. Her throat tightened. I'm here to clean." She lifted the flyer like a shield. "Says, help wanted." His eyes flicked to the paper, then to the second-hand backpack, then the scuffed sneakers that told the story of bus routes and long walks nobody waited for. Two others took her in. A rangy redhead grinning around a toothpick, Rooster, and a woman in grease-streaked overalls with strong hands and eyes that could hold you steady, Lark. Knox wiped his knuckles on a rag. "We don't hire jokes." Heat climbed Tessa's cheeks. Her phone buzzed in her bag like a trapped bee. "Film yourself scrubbing their oil. We need a laugh." She muted it and pushed it deep. "I need the money," she said, voice small but steady. "I'm not a joke." Lark leaned a hip against a fender, studying the way Tessa held herself like someone trying not to wake a sleeping house. "We do need the back bay swept before parts come in," Rooster snorted. "She'll bail by lunch." Tessa spotted the heavy broom leaning near a bin of gloves, the kind of tool that always felt like an argument. "Where do I start?" Knox looked at her long enough to read bruises you couldn't see. The flinch when the door hissed. The learned smallness of shoulders that had been told to disappear. He jerked his chin. "Bay 3. Gloves in the bin. Don't touch the knuckles." She nodded like the word yes had weight and edges, and she'd finally found a way to hold it. The broom fit her palms like a dare. Dust lifted in lazy ghosts around the drains. The concrete had its own stubborn grain. Push with it and the dirt came away clean. Fight it and the place fought back. Tessa breathed through the bristles, a rhythm older than the shop. Oil, hot rubber, a bite of citrus cleaner. Smells that said work in a language you earned with your hands. She lined the spilled sockets smallest to largest, labels out as if they were choir boys. She found a bent drip pan behind a compressor and worked it until the metal remembered its shine. She set crushed rags to soak like wounded birds. The floor gave up its grit a strip at a time. Between strokes, her mind floated. Late shifts at the Bluebird Diner, scrubbing syrup from sticky laminate while laughter creaked like a bad hinge. Her mother's laugh once soft as a bell, then dulled by pills that told the truth too brightly. A father who said he'd text when he settled. Winter came and went. The phone stayed quiet. Cow, whale, waste. Words people throw like bottle rockets and pretend they didn't light. The bristles passed and each one hissed out. Noon bells from St. Bridges rang thin through the seam of the door, measuring a world that didn't know she'd finally chosen to stay somewhere. Lark appeared with a paper cup of water and a napkin for pride. "You sweated our ghosts out of the drains," she said, not smiling and yet somehow lit like a sign. Rooster wandered by, whistled low. She alphabetized the bolts. "That's a gift," Lark said. "Not a joke." Knox kept turning a wrench near the lift and pretended not to watch the way Bay 3 changed under Tessa's hands. The roller door rattled. Laughter knifed in, sharp, fast, mean, familiar. 3 bluebird aprons. Thick mascara. Phone's already up. Oh my God, said Glitternails. She came. Smile, Tessie, said another. Wipe the grease off your chin. Rooster stiffened. Lark took a measured step closer to Tessa, becoming shade in summer. Knox didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. You filming in my house? He asked. Public place, Glitternails sang, sweet as a razor. Wrong. Knox took one step. The room leaned his way. Rooster's grin went razor. Lark's quiet went dangerous. Delete it, Knox said. No shout, just granite. And apologize to my cleaner, they wavered. The lead girl scoffed because scoffing had served her before. Then she saw how the room had shifted, how the machines themselves seemed to listen, how the air between Knox and Tessa held something like law. Her thumb tapped. The trash icon flashed. Words, Knox said. Sorry, she muttered to the floor. Tessa felt the apology scrape past her bones, both sting and relief, a splinter and a salve. The door clattered them out, and silence settled again, heavier and kinder than before. Knox turned back to Torque Specs. Bay 3's still dirty. Tessa picked up the broom with steadier hands. Small victory. Huge echo. After lunch the trucks came, grumbling old bulls that left crates like they were dropping anchors. Lark cracked one, tossed Tessa a paint pen. Mark part numbers big. Half our drivers are dyslexic. Our job is making easy look normal. Tessa wrote the numbers neat and generous, the way she wished people were with each other. A ratchet hiccuped somewhere. She paused, head tilted. That's a starter clutch, Rooster said, teasing. She reads TikTok. Maybe, Tessa said. But that's not the clutch. Lark raised a brow. Prove it. They rolled a Sportster onto rubber. Tessa touched only air with her hands, like prayer hadn't left her, just learned new tools. She listened. Chain slap's too loose. Rooster checked a gauge, blinked. She's right. Lark's grin lit like a match. Knox didn't smile, not really, but the scar at his brow seemed less like a closed door and more like a path someone should ask about. Evening rinsed the shop's rectangle in patient blue. Tessa stacked rags by color and found a patch of worn thread sewn under a beam. Be kind or be gone. She ran a finger over the words and felt the throat twist of a prayer she hadn't meant to say. Knox tossed a key onto the parts bench. Side door. Tomorrow if you want it. The key surprised her with its weight. Not heavy, just true. A word rose, yes, morning broke sharp and silver. Frost smoked off the asphalt and cracked under boots. Tessa unlocked the side door with shaking fingers and stepped into someone else's life that felt like hers anyway. Knox was already under a bike, grease painting one arm like war. You're late, he said. She checked her phone. 7:01. Sorry, bus. Buses don't make you faster, he grunted. She set her pack down and bit back the easy apology that lived on her tongue. She grabbed the mop and went to war with corners nobody noticed until they weren't dirty anymore. Lark slid her a donut wrapped in a shop towel. Fuel up. Your family now, then added softer. Don't tell Knox. The shop smelled like lemon cleaner and gasoline, like Sunday mornings and trouble married each other and decided to behave. Rooster idled by a solvent tray strumming a dead guitar. You sing? He asked. Tessa shook her head. Everyone sings when engines do, he said. She smiled before she meant to. Knox, half hidden beneath chrome, paused mid-turn and didn't look up. The jaw unclenched anyway. At lunch, rain hammered the roof so hard it sounded like applause. They gathered near the heater and passed around chili from a dented pot that tasted like the road, sharp, warm, honest. Tessa perched on a crate, careful small. Rooster nudged her. You clean quiet. You eat quiet. You always quiet. Noise gets you noticed, she said. Sometimes being noticed ain't the curse you think, Knox rumbled behind the rim of his mug, which looked like a cliff in his hand. She looked up, surprised he'd spent a sentence on her. His eyes met hers for half a heartbeat before he shifted them to the rain lacing the open seam of the door. Open house ride next month, Lark said. Place has to shine like a church before Easter. You in? I'll make it glow, Tessa said. Bet she does, Rooster said. And for the first time the word she didn't feel like a corner they were pushing her into, but a door they were opening so she could walk through and stand where the light hit. The day of the charity ride rolled in like thunder herded by blue flags. Half the county lined up to idle on Main, chrome shining like promises that used to be lies. Knox took point, the skull on his cut ghosted by wear. Lark mounted a twin cam tuned just enough to purr like a secret. Rooster polished handlebars until his reflection looked like a ghost he liked. Tessa scrubbed concrete until it gleamed, until even the stains looked chosen. She planned the sign-in booth like a battle. Taped down cords, labeled stickers, staged pens, put water where people would forget they needed it until they fainted and someone caught them. "Town will eat their tongues when they see you run this place," Lark said, not quite proud, not quite teasing, something older. "I'm just cleaning," Tessa said. "And Michelangelo just painted ceilings," Rooster muttered. The roller door rattled. 3 bluebird aprons again, phones up. Sweet poison smiles. Tessa's stomach flipped. Knox laid a shadow across the threshold. "Shop's closed to tourists. We came to wish her luck," Glitternails purred. "She doesn't need luck," Knox said. "She's got work." They backed away like tide from a rock it tripped on. Rooster whistled low. "Boss just baptized a miracle." Tessa bit her lip. The eyes stung but didn't spill. For the first time, being defended didn't feel like someone stepping in because she couldn't. It felt like someone stepping back because she could. By dusk, the fundraiser jar overflowed. Rooster, Lark, and 2 patched angels counted twice. 15 grand for the shelter," someone called, and the shop roared like a straight pipe in a narrow alley. The mayor shook Knox's hand and said the words men like mayors say when the cameras swoop. Knox thumbed toward the booth. "Talk to the boss." "The her?" the mayor said. "Only one gets anything done," Knox answered. The lens found Tessa. She didn't shrink. "We're grateful," she said. "Come by next week. Veterans get half off their first tune." Her voice didn't shake. The room didn't tilt. The old map in her head that had her in the smallest corner of every room redrew itself. Later, when mop water ran so clean it felt wrong to throw it out, Knox handed her a folded paper. "Job offer, permanent, pays honest, you sure?" she asked. "Only fools fire miracles," he said. She laughed, loud, round, free. The sound went up through the rafters and came down clean. Everyone startled a little. Like she'd hit a note the place had been designed to ring and no one had tried before. A week later, Redline hummed like a beehive before rain. Flyers for the ride hung like bright leaves. Tessa moved like she'd been born in Bay 3. There are moments when a place stops testing you and starts catching you. This was that. The door slammed open mid-morning. A broad man filled it like a bad decision. Diner jacket, red face, mean eyes. "Where's my sister?" he barked. Tessa froze mid-sweep. "Trent, thought you could hide in here?" he sneered. "You embarrassed us. Nobody eats at the diner now. You made us a joke." Knox rose from his stool like weather getting ready. "That your sister?" "Yeah," Trent snapped. "She's my problem." Knox stepped between them. "Not anymore." Trent barked a laugh that tasted like cheap whiskey and old power. "You gonna protect her, old man?" "No," Knox said. "She'll do that herself." Trent swung at Knox. He didn't see Tessa move first. The broomstick cracked across his forearm with a sound that shut the animals in everyone's chests up. Trent stared, eyes wide. "You hit me. You came here to hurt me," Tessa said. Her breath ran fast, but her voice did not. "You don't get to anymore," Rooster muttered. "Hell, she's one of us." Knox pointed at the door. "Leave before I remember who I used to be." Trent spat at the floor. His spit shook and left. Silence held for 3 beats after the slam. Then Lark exhaled like a weight she'd been carrying fell off. "Guess the broom's your patch now." Tessa laughed, shaky and triumphant, and Knox turned away to hide the smile he wasn't ready to share. "Get back to work, St. Broom." Later, as tools clicked back into rhythm, Tessa caught her reflection in a chrome tank. Not small, not invisible, strong. The word embarrassment still stung, but now it had teeth and a spine. It stood on her side. Bad news travels like oil on concrete. Fast, thin, a slick you need sand to clear. The story changed hands before dinner rush. The fat cleaner broke her brother's arm. The biker freaks hit her. By morning, the lie had already framed itself in the mouths that liked such frames. But when Tessa walked downtown for groceries, something else happened. The butcher, a man who'd never looked her straight, nodded. "Heard you stood up to him," he said. "Good." Mrs. Clary, who flinched at leather jackets like they barked, slid an extra loaf of bread across. "For your crew." Tessa blinked. "Thank you." Redline's back door thunked soft when she pushed it with her heel, arms full of bread and relief. Knox had already heard the story braided the wrong way. "World's watching now," he said. Is that bad? She asked. Sometimes, he said, tightening a bolt. But sometimes the only way to teach respect is to show them what it looks like. That night the angels built a bonfire out back. Flames threw gold up and faces looked like stories around it. Lines softened by heat, eyes made honest by smoke. Tessa carried trays of food through haloed sparks. Cups raised in unison. To the broom, Rooster declared, our new kind of weapon. She sat beside Lark, knees tucked, warmth returning to bones winter had tried to rent space in. Knox stared into the fire with a face that didn't remember laughing. Why don't you laugh? Tessa asked. Used to, he said, before the world taught me not to. You ever forgive it? Working on it, he answered, wind hissed through pines. Tessa fed another log. You think I belong here? She asked, small but not afraid of the question anymore. You earn your space every day, Knox said. Sighs past what they said. None of that pays your way. Staying does. Her throat tightened. Rooster clinked bottles. She already is. Under the moon, nobody talked about weight or shame or survival. They talked roads, rides, the way some scars look better in motion. Dawn found smoke ghosting above the yard. Tessa sat on the shop stoop watching the horizon blush. Knox handed her a mug of black coffee that tasted like iron and sleep not taken. You didn't sleep, he said. Didn't need to, she said. You ever think you'd end up here? He asked. I used to dream of disappearing, she said. Now I want to build something. He studied the pink edge of the sky like a map that only showed roads once you drove them. Start with this place, he said. Make it yours too. You'd let me? Wasn't mine alone, he said, since the day you walked in. Breakfast. Lark shouted from the door. Sinners! No one's mopping until noon, Rooster added. Tessa laughed. It rang off the metal and didn't apologize. The garage that used to smell like fear now smelled like pancakes and the faint promise of peace. Knox watched the morning touch her face like it knew her. He didn't smile, not quite. But the thing in him that was always braced loosened one notch. Guess the joke's on them, he muttered. No, Tessa said, standing, mug in both hands. The joke's on who we used to be. 2 weeks later, the Redline Customs sign glowed like someone had replaced the bulbs with small suns. Tessa's hand-painted letters on the bay labels gleamed deliberate and defiant. Town girls who used to mock her passed by pretending not to look. Pretending is its own confession. Inside, business boomed. Riders came for repairs and stayed for the way she cleaned parts until the chrome mirrored not just the bike, but the person who'd kept it running with baling wire and hope. Knox watched the way she spoke to customers, voice steady, hands sure. Lark said, Told you she was a miracle. That night, Knox handed Tessa a leather vest. Across the back, Redline Angels. Beneath it, a patch stitched with unapologetic letters, cleaner than sin. You're serious? She asked. Family earns colors. Knox said. No one ever called me that. Tessa whispered. What? Family. He raised his beer. Welcome home. The next morning, Tessa rode pillion behind Lark, her first real run through Silver Creek Canyon. Wind tore through her hair like it had been waiting. The world smeared into sky and asphalt and the bright scratch of sunlight on guardrails. For the first time, she wasn't trying to fold herself smaller. She sat how her body demanded, forward, present, alive. At the rest stop, an older woman approached, eyes glassy in the way grief keeps them. You're the girl from town, she said. The one who stood up to her brother. Tessa nodded, wary and open all at once. My daughter's built like you, the woman said. She saw your photo online, she said. She said she wants to ride one day. Tessa blinked hard. Words were small clothes for big feelings. Knox, who had just swung off his bike, said to the woman in a voice that knew how to say hard things soft. Then tell her she already belongs. The woman smiled like something long held, finally put down and walked away. Tessa turned to Knox. You think that's true? You're the proof, he said. They rode home quiet. Engines hummed. The unspoken between them felt like a road you could drive a long time and arrive somewhere good. Autumn came early to Juniper Vale, crisp, gold, edges clean. The town fair set up across from Redline. For the first time, the Angels ran a booth. Free tune-ups, free coffee, free kindness. The mayor posed beside Tessa and called her one of the good ones, which told her more about his dictionary than about her. Across the street, the Bluebird Diner sat half empty. Rumor said Trent left town. Rumor is a liar, but sometimes it tells the truth by accident. One of the diner girls approached, eyes on her shoes. Tessa, we were awful, she said. I'm sorry. Really look at me when you say that, Tessa said. Not cruel, just clean. The girl raised her eyes. I'm sorry, I know, Tessa said. I forgive you. Why? Because carrying hate's heavier than I am. Lark overheard and whispered, That's going on the wall. By evening, kids ran through puddles and angels handed out hot dogs and everything smelled like smoke and second chances. Knox watched Tessa move through the crowd, laughter bright, shoulders unbraced. Peace didn't look like he thought it would. It looked like grease-cut lemons and a shop light left on for someone who might come back. Winter tested the shop with sharp wind and long dark. Redline stayed warm with the hiss of heaters and old rock that had learned to be kind. Tessa taught a kid from town how to polish chrome. Gentle, she said. You're not fighting it. You're helping it shine. Knox leaned in the doorway, arms crossed like he was hugging a ghost. You sound like Lark, he said. Good teacher, Tessa said. You're leaving pieces of light everywhere, he said, voice low. You know that? She wiped her hands, left a thumbprint on her vest. So are you, she said. You just didn't see them. He looked away because old grief is shy around compliments. Guess I needed someone to clean the mirror. Their laughter stitched the space between the noise of tools and the quiet of snow outside. That night, locking up, Tessa paused by the glass and wrote her name in her own breath. Thank you, she whispered to the room that had taught her to stay. From the shadows, Knox answered, No, thank you. You reminded us what we were fighting for. Spring showed up like a prankster painting wildflowers in the ditches and perfumes in the exhaust. A new mural went up on Redline's wall, Tessa's hands all over it. A woman with a halo of gears held a wrench like a sword. Beneath her, Be kind or be gone. Bikers from 3 states signed the corner. Town kids posed, tiny fists on tiny hips, grinning at the gear halo like it belonged to them too. That night, under neon buzz and a radio playing a song older than any of them, Knox asked, You ever think about what started it all? Yeah, Tessa said. A joke. Hell of a setup for a miracle, Knox said. Guess we rewrote the punchline. They pulled the doors down one by one. The road outside shivered with tomorrow. When the wind carried the faint growl of engines from beyond the hills, everyone knew it wasn't thunder. It was redemption riding home. If this part made you feel something, subscribe to Bikers Hype, like the video, and share it with a friend. On this channel, every engine carries a heartbeat, and every scar has a road worth riding again. There are roads that remember the people who've bled on them. Knox could still name the mile markers. It had been 5 years since the crash, the night Redline nearly died. Back then, it wasn't a garage. It was a dream he shared with 2 brothers in arms, real brothers, not blood, but battle. One was named Dean, loud, loyal, the kind of man who believed that oil stains were holy. The other was Hawk, younger, faster, the spark that lit the dark. The night they lost Hawk, the rain had come sideways. Too fast through Black Hollow Curve, a deer in the lane, and a split second where headlights carved the shape of a ghost. Knox could still hear the crunch of chrome, the scream of metal, the silence after. He had pulled Hawk's bike from the ditch, bent frame and all, and built Redline on the bones of that memory. After that, he'd stopped laughing. Stopped hoping. He worked like he owed the dead rent. And that's why when Tessa showed up with her shaking voice and her stubborn broom, something in him stirred. Because she wasn't just cleaning. She was rebuilding, the same way he'd once tried to rebuild himself. That morning, Tessa found Knox at the workbench, staring at a dented tank like it had said something personal. You ever gonna fix that one? She asked. Maybe, he said. Or maybe it's supposed to stay broken, she frowned. Everything can be fixed. He looked at her, the old pain flickering behind his eyes. Not everything, kid, but she didn't look away. Then maybe it just needs the right hands. He didn't answer. But for the first time in years, he picked up a wrench. It took 3 weeks before Knox agreed to teach Tessa to ride. Not a Harley, he said. You start with something that won't kill you for sneezing. They wheeled out a small, battered Honda Rebel that had seen better wars. Rooster called it the chicken wing. Lark tuned the carb until it purred like a lazy cat. Tessa strapped on a borrowed helmet that smelled like dust and leather stories. Her palms sweated inside gloves too big. Remember, Knox said, steady and low. The throttle doesn't control speed, it controls trust. She nodded, swallowing nerves like nails. The first few tries were ugly. Jerky starts, wobbling stops, a stall that sent Rooster into hysterics. But she didn't quit. Every fall was met with the same word she'd learned to whisper at Redline. Again. By the fifth day, she glided down the alley smoother than breath. Knox jogged beside her, boots pounding, voice steady. Ease up good. Look through the turn, not at it. She did. And for a heartbeat, she wasn't cleaning their floor. She was flying over it. When she parked, Lark clapped. Rooster whooped. Knox just nodded, but the nod meant more than any applause she'd ever heard. That night she stayed late, polishing the Rebel until the gas tank reflected her grin. She'd never owned anything that looked back and smiled too. 2 weeks later, the county fair announced a charity mountain run, a winding route through Silver Creek Pass to raise money for injured riders. Redline signed up to handle pit stops and safety crews. Knox wasn't thrilled about letting Tessa join. It's steep. It's slick. One wrong move and you'll meet God before breakfast. She smirked. Guess I'll make a good first impression, Rooster snorted. Lark elbowed her gently. He worries because that's what captains do. Captains are fathers. Tessa teased. Knox shot her a look, but the corner of his mouth betrayed him. Don't push it, St. Broom. The day of the ride, mist rolled down from the ridges, wrapping the road in silver smoke. Engines lined up like a thunderstorm waiting for permission. Tessa checked the gear twice, her Rebel humming like it was proud of her. Halfway up the pass, the fog thickened. Lark's taillight blinked ahead like a heartbeat, then vanished. Gravel crunched under Tessa's tires. Her chest tightened. Then she saw it. A truck sideways across the curve. One biker down, another trying to wave traffic off. Instinct moved faster than fear. She cut the engine, dropped the stand, ran. Stay with me, she shouted, kneeling beside the fallen rider. His leg was pinned under chrome in panic. The smell of fuel bit at her nose. Rooster. Fire kit! She yelled into her mic. By the time Knox and Lark arrived, she'd already stabilized the man's head and cut the ignition. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. Knox crouched beside her, eyes wide. Who taught you that? My mom was a nurse, she said quietly. Before she got sick, he didn't say a word. He just pressed his gloved hand to her shoulder, firm and proud. When the medics arrived, one of them asked, You Redline? Tessa nodded. He grinned. Then hell, I'm not surprised. The ride made headlines. Local biker crew saves rider in Silver Creek crash. The mayor even called Redline a symbol of unity. Knox hated it. Fame made him itch. But for Tessa, it was the first time her name came with something other than shame. At the diner, people no longer whispered. They nodded. At the grocery store, kids pointed. That's the mechanic from the paper. She wasn't invisible anymore, and that was terrifying. That night, Knox found her painting over an old oil stain shaped like wings. World's watching again, he said. I know. You scared? A little, he nodded. Good. Courage ain't the absence of fear. It's riding anyway, she smiled, dipping her brush in paint. You should put that on the wall. Maybe you should, he said. So she did. Ride anyway. Spring broke with the smell of rain and engines. One afternoon, a black SUV rolled up to Redline. Suits stepped out, the kind that didn't belong near oil or decency. They weren't customers. They were collectors. You Knox? The lead man asked. Depends who's asking. Your old partner Dean owes my boss money. A lot of it. You were listed on the original LLC. That makes you responsible. Knox's jaw tightened. That company died with Hawk. Debt doesn't die, the man said. Pay up or we'll start collecting assets. Tessa overheard from Bay 2, mop handle frozen mid-stroke. She stepped closer before thinking. We don't have anything for you, the man smirked. Cute. Maybe we start with the bikes out front. Knox stepped forward, voice low. Touch my bikes and you'll be chewing chrome for breakfast. They left, but their threat lingered like exhaust. That night, Knox stayed after everyone left. Tessa found him sitting beside an old frame, welding sparks flickering across his face. You okay? She asked. He didn't look up. You ever feel like your ghosts have better timing than you do? Every day, she said. But I'm learning to stop feeding them. He looked up at her then, really looked. You ever think you were sent here for a reason? She shrugged. Maybe we both were. The sparks danced between them like stars trying to find a place to land. Before we start, Tell us where in the world you're watching from. And if you love powerful biker stories about redemption, resilience, and the open road, hit subscribe to Bikers Hype, tap that hype button, and share this story with your brothers and sisters of the ride. The week after the men in suits came, Redline didn't sound the same. The wrenches still clinked, the compressors hissed, but a new hum filled the gaps between sounds. Tension, quiet, coiled like wire under voltage. Knox worked later, quieter. He'd check the books twice, stare at a single page for minutes, then close it like a wound. Lark and Rooster felt it too. They'd trade glances, try to make noise out of nervousness. Music played louder. Rooster cracked more jokes. Lark brought more food. But silence still came back like gravity, and Tessa, she watched, worried. Because Redline had become her home, and homes don't hide their sickness well. That night, after everyone left, she stayed to clean. She found Knox still in Bay 1, the light low, a single lamp burning over a bike she didn't recognize. Stripped to the bones, black frame, no tank, no seat. The air smelled like burnt metal and memory. He didn't look up. "You should be home." "I am," she said softly. He exhaled. "Long, heavy," Dean called. Tessa froze. She'd heard the name before, whispered like a scar you don't show. "He's in trouble again?" she asked. "Trouble's his religion," Knox said. "But this time it's my altar too." He reached into his cut and pulled out a wrinkled envelope. Inside were 2 photos, one old, one new. The first, 3 men laughing beside a bike painted fire red, young and foolish and infinite. The second, the same bike, wrecked in a junkyard, Dean beside it, thinner, older, desperate. "He borrowed from the wrong kind of people," Knox said. "Now they're coming for what's left of me." Tessa looked at him, the man who'd built everyone else's strength but forgot to keep any for himself. "What do they want?" she asked. He met her eyes. "Everything." Lark didn't take it well. "You're not paying them, Knox," she said, voice steel. "That's not how we deal with rot." "It's not just about me," he argued. "If they come here, they won't," Rooster cut in, setting down his rag. "You taught us how to fight without fists." "We'll handle it the same way," Tessa listened quietly. The old fear, the diner laughter, the whispers, the humiliation, tried to crawl back. But Redline wasn't the diner. She wasn't the same girl. "Then we face them," she said finally. Lark looked at her. "You sure you want in on this mess?" Tessa nodded. "You gave me family. Family doesn't run when the bills come due." Knox studied her for a long time. Then a small nod, one soldier recognizing another. The suits came back at sundown 2 days later. No music, no laughter, just the growl of black tires on wet pavement. The same lead man stepped out, sharp smile, dull eyes. "I warned you," he said. "You had your chance." Knox stood still, hands at his sides. "You step foot inside, you better be ready to stay forever." "Not a threat," the man sneered. "Just business." Tessa stepped forward before she could think. "Business doesn't scare us." He turned to her, amused. "You the janitor or the mascot?" She met his stare. "The one who'll clean up when you're gone." The crew shifted. Even Rooster's grin died. Lark came from behind the lift with a torque wrench balanced easy in one hand. "You heard her." "Move along." The man chuckled. "You people think you're a club." "You're just grease and noise." Knox took a step closer, voice low. "Grease keeps the world from burning." The man held his stare for a long moment, then backed off, muttering, "This isn't over." When their car pulled away, Tessa realized her hands were shaking, but not from fear. From anger. She looked at Knox. "You're not paying them, right?" He shook his head. "Not a cent." "Then we fight," she said. And for the first time, Knox didn't argue. He just said, "We will." They didn't fight with fists. They fought with purpose. Redline had something the collectors didn't: reputation. Knox had built a network over decades, riders who owed him, mechanics who respected him, people who still believed in loyalty older than paperwork. They spread the word. Within a week, every biker garage, every salvage yard, every dive bar between Juniper Vale and Tucson had heard, "Someone's coming after Redline." Watch their road. When the collectors tried again, they found roadblocks, eyes, and cameras waiting. Every time they showed up in town, someone trailed them. An angel, a veteran, a road brother. Lark handled logistics, Rooster ran surveillance, and Tessa, she ran the heart of it. She organized, called, wrote letters, met people. Somehow, she made the fight feel noble instead of desperate. One night, Knox caught her sketching the Redline logo onto paper flyers. "You turning us into a brand?" "Into a cause," she said. "People help what they believe in." He smiled, tired but proud. "Hawk would have liked you." "Who was he?" she asked. Knox hesitated. "The part of me that laughed." Tessa nodded. "Then maybe it's time you laugh again." It happened on a Thursday. The shop was empty except for Tessa staying late again. Rain hit the roof hard. She was wiping down Bay 3 when the smell hit. Smoke, sharp and wrong. Then she heard it. Glass breaking. She turned toward the office. Flames flickered under the door. Tessa grabbed the extinguisher, ran, kicked the door open. The fire licked across papers, grease, memories. She sprayed until the tank hissed dry, coughing through the black smoke. The last of the flame curled and died. But then she saw it. A rag soaked in fuel, a broken bottle. Arson. Her phone buzzed. "Rooster. Tess, get out. They're hitting the storage yard too." She bolted outside into the rain. Across the lot, 2 silhouettes sprinted toward a truck. She didn't think. She chased. Her boots pounded through puddles. One turned, startled. The collector's lackey from before. He swung a crowbar. She ducked and swung back with the extinguisher, catching his ribs. He fell into the mud. Knox's bike roared behind her. He'd arrived fast. Too fast. Headlights carved the chaos. The other man fled into the dark. "Tessa!" Knox shouted, sliding off his Harley. "You hurt?" She shook her head, chest heaving. They lit the office. He looked at the smoke. Then they just made a mistake. By morning, the town knew. A fundraiser started before the smoke even cleared. Dozens of riders, old angels, rival clubs, ex-cops, and weekend bikers rolled into Juniper Vale. They didn't come for charity. They came for Redline. Tessa stood on a makeshift stage, trembling but tall, and told the truth. About the fire, about the debt, about what Redline had given her. "They thought we'd burn down," she said, voice cracking. "But they forgot. Fire makes steel stronger." The crowd roared. Engines revved like applause. The sound shook the windows of the diner across the street, where the same girls who'd mocked her now watched with wide eyes. By sunset, donations poured in. Enough to rebuild, enough to pay off any shadow trying to own them. But Knox didn't want the money. He wanted the message. "We don't buy freedom," he said into the mic. "We earn it." He looked at Tessa. "You earned it for all of us." Days later, they rebuilt the office. The smell of smoke was still there, faint but real. Tessa refused to paint over it. "Leave a bit," she said. "Reminds us what didn't win." Knox nodded. Scars don't make things ugly. They make them honest. That night, Lark unveiled a gift, a steel plaque welded from old parts. It read, "The broom and the blade, Redline's heart." Tessa touched the metal, tears blurring the letters. "You can't be serious." Rooster grinned. "Dead serious. You built this place twice." "That's leadership," Knox added quietly. "You built us too." Outside, thunder rolled low. But it didn't sound like fear anymore. It sounded like engines, riding home. If this story inspired you, if it reminded you that no fire can burn down true family, subscribe to Bikers Hype, like this video, and share it with a friend who needs the reminder. Because here on Bikers Hype, every engine carries a heartbeat, and every scar has a road worth riding again.